there's a macho thing about cooking. Everybody was just, you know, like a pirate.
We saw people who worked for chefs that, you know, they just couldn't go past a certain point.
We went out at a young age to open our own business because that was the only path we could find.
Coming as one but standing as the 10,000 who came before them. These are the women paving their own path, defying stereotypes, and breaking a lot of glass ceilings. I'm Noor Tagore, and this is A Woman's Job.
Okay, pick up a fish taco. Is that quesadilla ready?
Yep, 2 secs. All right, let's see, what else?
Susan Feniger and Mary Sue Milliken are restaurateurs and chefs. Being boss ladies of a commercial kitchen, well, that's surprisingly rare. Across the country, professional kitchens are still a bit of a boys' club. Women make up 40% of cooks in the US, but that number drops as you move up the ranks. Only 21% of chefs and head cooks are women, and that's especially weird because half the students at the top US culinary schools are women.
So how often did you guys find kitchens where women were running the kitchen and were executive chefs? How common was that?
When we started, way back when we started, there were very few women in the kitchen at all. So there were not many women running chefs. They were just not even line cooks.
Not even in pastries.
In French, yeah.
So where does the whole, oh, if you're a woman, you should be in the kitchen come from, if that wasn't ever the case?
Yeah.
It was women in the kitchen at home.
Right.
Why do you think it was different at home versus in a restaurant?
It wasn't it definitely wasn't a feminine job in any way.
It still isn't.
You know, you burn yourself, your nails get broken, you
smell like garlic and fish when you get home.
So the kitchen's no longer the environment where people are, talking totally crude, and pinching people's butts and having,
Oh, that was a thing?
Oh my God, such a thing. And women participated in it just as much. It just, the talk was so much cruder and people swore all the time.
It was sort of how we got by in the beginning because we needed to be part of the culture that was already there before we could change it. We had to be accepted, we had to be part of the boys club. And in order to do that, Susan was the biggest butt pincher around.
Probably.
And in retrospect, I think it's much easier to see where you didn't get the promotions, you didn't get the raises, you didn't get the opportunities that the boys got.
Certainly women now, times have changed dramatically, and I think women see a place for themselves in professional kitchens, way different. But many, many women end up starting their own restaurant because it's a way to be able to be your own boss, be entrepreneurial, and not be sort of held down.
That's exactly what Susan and Mary Sue did. They met working at a Chicago restaurant where they became the first female chefs in an all-male kitchen. And in 1985, the duo took a road trip to Mexico, only trying street foods and home-cooked meals. They took what they learned back to California and opened up the first Border Grill. 10 years later, Susan and Mary Sue debuted a cooking show on the Food Network called The Too Hot Tamales. And 400 episodes, several restaurants, and cookbooks later, their dynamic in the kitchen has only gotten stronger.
So do you guys want to tell us first what we're making today?
Absolutely. We're going to start with our Baja ceviche. So I have the shrimp marinating in the lime juice, and you're going to see it start to change color. It's going to get whiter and a little pinker. Meanwhile, we'll chop up the garnish, which is going to be, do a nice fine dice, and so you get a little bit of heat in there. Then what we do is we put this right on the tostada. We learned this dish down in Ensenada, actually, in Mexico, in Baja.
That looks amazing.
Doesn't that? Yeah.
The truth is, in society, all of us are drawn to different things. It's really about finding your place. And for me, the first time I worked in a kitchen, I knew I was home.